But we can make connections. Yes, we can. We can make connections. One of the things that film, for the film, I think it's really important for us to recognize that it was written, directed, and produced by Black women, right? And that's a major thing. No matter which kind of concerns that you might have, to do something like this, to talk about someone like Harriet Tubman, to have the kind of exposure from this film, it's unimaginable. Like 40 years ago, 20 years ago, almost unimaginable. So we have to think about
10 years ago.
10 yes, 10 years ago, you're right.
I feel like in every industry things are like changing rapidly, but it still takes so much to make that headway.
Yeah, I agree. And I think to have that film as an option, to have a book written by a Black woman, like we have Black women owning Harriet's story. And I think that's important. And so they have, of course, the film has the problem of only having 2 hours, right? So you have to make decisions about what part of a life you want to capture. And so the film really captures her as a young adult and her sort of time on the underground, a little bit towards the Civil War. I had the pleasure of being able to do the whole thing, right? Because I have a book and I'll keep going.
Because you're a historian, and was it accurate? Did it feel like it was keeping?
Okay, so I think that
So hair texture isn't accurate.
I will say that the film stuck pretty, the skeleton of the film was fairly accurate. But we also have to realize it's Hollywood, right? And so they're going to build in specific stories to bring in the viewer and to make different points. So without giving it away, for those of you who haven't seen it yet, I would say that it was fairly accurate with embellishment.
We know she lives.
Right, we know she lives. And the film, as I said, it sort of ends with this sort of brief moment of her heading towards working for the Union Army in the Civil War. And then that's it. And so, I'm hoping that everybody goes out, they see the movie, and then they say, well, what happened to Tubman after that? Because let's think about it, the Civil War ends, she lives for 53 more years. Mm. So what happens to Tubman, and that's where everybody's going to go back. What happens
Can we, just continue, what does happen next? Like, we are all going to buy the book, that's right, but where in her life story were you surprised, were you taken aback? There's simple things, like even the Combahee River, right? We talk about the Combahee River Collective. In fact, that's connected to Harriet Tubman. Were there other insights like that came to light as you were doing research?
Yeah, I think, wanted to sort of have a different show Tubman through a different lens. I was very interested in her intimate relationships, in her work as the first woman to lead a military expedition for the United States. That's huge. And most people don't know that. But I also wanted to think about what did it mean to live after slavery? Once you had once been enslaved, what did freedom really mean? And how did it, what were its shortcomings? And Tubman's a really good example of just how difficult life was. That after the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments were passed, okay, but Tubman still lived a very difficult life, impoverished, literally collecting garbage on the streets of Auburn, New York, in order to feed her pigs for her pig farm. And so in many ways, Tubman's life reminds us of what Black women had to do during the nadir of race relations, during the lowest point with the birth and the revival of the Klan, right? How did that affect people like Tubman? But although she lived a difficult life, she also found love and happiness. And that's something else I want us to think about Tubman as a woman who made choices about her life, enslaved and free. She married. in 1844, she married a free man named John Tubman. That's how she gets the name Tubman. Film does a little something different with that relationship, but this is accurate. And so she marries this man, enslaved. And you just sort of step back and say, okay, why would a free man marry an enslaved woman? There's a lot of...
The question we don't ask ourselves or think about, at least I haven't. What was your take on that?
She had to have been charismatic, right? And we could just think about her as a woman, right? For John Tubman to say, I will marry you, knowing you were enslaved, knowing that any child you have of mine will follow the apron strings of slavery, right? That you gotta kind of love somebody. Like them a whole lot. And so, but this relationship was difficult at times. He didn't necessarily believe in her deep spirituality. And later on in Tubman's life, she leaves, of course, and probably one of the most difficult moments in her life is when she escaped. They married in 1844. She escapes in 1849. And she arrives at the Pennsylvania border alone. And she makes a decision almost instantly that she's going to spend the rest of her life bringing her family and friends to freedom. Almost instantly. So here she is, she has this opportunity to blend, to fade in, to try and live a life, create a new life on her own. And she says, no, my freedom means nothing without my family. And so she makes over 13 trips back to Maryland. That's over 100 miles, y'all, each way. Sometimes she would take the train, because what fugitive slave is going to head back on the train to Maryland? That was sort of disguised. But she arrives on one trip to get her husband. And when she arrives, she meets really with heartbreak. She goes into hiding. She lets him know. He's told that she's there. And he says, I'm not going with you. I don't want to see you. And I have a new wife. And she's free. And so we often, in the film too, we see this, we sort of think of Tubman as, this is heartbreaking. And it was, but all that turned to rage quickly. Like, hold up. I just walked into the jaws of slavery for you. I just came over 100 miles for you. And you got someone new? And she says later on in her narrative that she actually wanted to go into the cabin and turn it out. She used that phrase. But she said, I wanted to go in there and see him and her. And she made...
Not want to make Harriet mad?
Who wants to make Harriet Tubman mad? Nobody. And so she pauses and she says, I can't risk any additional attention. I can't go do what I want to do. And so there's this phrase, she says, he let me go, I had to let him go too. And that moment, she doesn't, of course, bring him, but she turns around and rescues other people. She doesn't let that opportunity sort of leave and go in vain. She rescues other people. And so thinking about her as someone who could be heartbroken, someone who could be angry, and someone who was just strong and courageous, that's what I try to do with her.
And you do successfully. I think that's such a